In today's society, Yule and Yuletide are largely synonymous with Christmas and Christmastide, but the meaning of Yule is quite different from that of the Christian holiday. The word Yule comes from Old English Yule, G-E-O-L, which shares a history with the equivalent of a word from Old Norse, Yule, J-O-L. Both these words refer to a midwinter festival centered around the winter solstice, which traditionally marked the halfway point of the winter season. After the solstice, which is the shortest day of the year, the days appeared to grow longer again, so it's thought that Yule was a celebration of the reappearance of the sun and the fertile land's rebirth. The celebration of Yule is one of the oldest winter celebrations in the world. Ancient people were hunters and spent most of their time outdoors. The seasons and weather played a very important part in their lives. Customs and traditions associated with Yule vary widely. Most commonly, the celebration consisted of a feast, revelry, singing, drinking, and dancing. Later, when Christianity came to the British Isles, Christians adopted aspects of pagan festival into the celebration of the birth of Christ. As Christianity began to spread in the 4th century, the Christmas feast day was set on December 25th by Pope Julius I to align with the Roman pagan holiday. I'm gonna botch this if I try to say it. It's Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, which is the birthday of the invincible sun. I am going to read off a couple traditions, Christmas traditions that are borrowed from Yule, and just kind of give me a nod if you recognize these or if you've ever celebrated something similar to this. The feast lasts 12 days. We decorate evergreen trees with foods, carvings, gifts. Mistletoe, combined with mother's tears, resurrected her son, the god of light and goodness, in a Viking myth, and the Celts believed that mistletoe possessed healing powers as well and would ward off evil spirits. Another Norse tradition, Old Man Winter visited homes to join the festivities. The Viking god Odin was described as a wanderer with a long white beard and is considered the first Father Christmas. Children left their shoes out by the hearth on the eve of winter solstice with sugar and hay for Odin's 8-legged horse Sleipnir. Children went from house to house with gifts of apples and oranges spiked with cloves resting in baskets lined with evergreen. And then there's the Yule Log, which was a whole tree meant to be burned for 12 days in the hearth. The Celts believed that the sun stood still during the solstice. They thought by keeping the Yule Log burning for these 12 days, it encouraged the sun to move, making the days longer. The largest end would be fed into the hearth, wine poured over it. They lit it with the remains of last year's Yule log, and everyone would take turns feeding the length of the timber into the fire. It was bad luck to let it burn out. And then just to go a little bit further into the Norse tradition of Yule, the Norse people celebrated it as a midwinter feast, which is now called Yule, J-U-L, in Scandinavia. The Old Norse word Yule was used to describe a feast, and Jólablot was a midwinter festival associated with the rebirth of the sun. So if we break that word down, Yule was a feast, blot means ritual or sacrifice or worship, and blota means to worship with sacrifice or to strengthen. So the long, white, bearded Norse god Odin had the name Yule Father, which in Old Norse meant Yule Father, or the Yule One. In Old Norse poetry, the word Yule was often used as a synonym for feast, such as Henning Huggin's Yule, and Hugin or Hugin is one of Odin's ravens. During the celebration of Yule, the community would take up the drinking horn and drink mead, beer, and wine. This is now called a drike Yule, means to drink Yule and to celebrate the Norse gods, dead friends and relatives, and peace and harmony. So if we look at the Celtic wheel, or the pagan wheel, this is the time where we're turning out of the darkest part of the year and back into the light. So for a few months, the days have been growing shorter and shorter and the nights longer. After solstice, little by little, the hours of light will increase. The days will grow longer until once again it is summer. We celebrate now the time of midwinter, which is called Yule. It marks the birth of the sun. At this time, I'm going to transition into a little bit of a Yule ritual. If you want to participate, please set your intention and participate, and if not, that is totally fine. Up on the altar, I have oranges, which represent the sun. pine cones, evergreen, and just other things associated with Yule. And typically to cast a circle, one might use smudge or a candle. We already have candles and I'm a fire hazard, so I'm going to cast a circle with sound today. So the east represents air. So winter is the time for cold winds and freezing breezes. Spirits of the air be with us today. The south is fire. Winter is the time for sitting in front of roaring fires for warmth and blazing candles for light. Spirits of fire be with us today. West is water. Winter is the time of snow, of water turning to ice, and Jack Frost nipping at us. Spirits of water be with us today. And in the north, that is earth. Winter is the time when the earth is bare and most trees have no leaves. No food is growing now. Spirits of the earth be with us today. As I read these lines, those who would like to participate may follow after with "The light is reborn." In the greatest darkness,
the light is reborn.
Out of winter's cold,
the light is reborn.
From our deepest fears,
the light is reborn.
When we most despair,
the light is reborn.
When all seem lost,
the light is reborn.
When the earth lies waste,
the light is reborn.
When animals hide,
the light is reborn.
When the leaves are gone,
the light is reborn.
When the river is frozen,
the light is reborn.
When the ground is hard,
the light is reborn.
Shadows are fleeing,
the light is reborn.
Light is returning,
the light is reborn.
Warmth will come again,
the light is reborn.
Summer will be here once more,
the light is reborn.
Plants will grow again,
the light is reborn.
Animals will be seen once more,
the light is reborn.
Green will come again,
the light is reborn.
Life will continue, the light is reborn. At this time in the ritual, typically you would raise around a cone or a chalice and send energy to the earth to help it get through winter. You could shake rattles or shakers, stomp on the ground, make noise, and again, chant with me if you would 3 times. The light is reborn. The light is reborn. The light is reborn.
The light is reborn.
Another thing that could be done during this ritual would be to pass around water with golden sprinkles and dip a few hands in the water and dip on your head. The seasons turn, we bring the light, we raise the sun from the dark of night.
The light is
and then I am going to close the circle. Spirits of air, earth, water, fire, we thank you for being with us and we bid you farewell. Our ritual has ended. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again.